internets, I'm Michael and this is Toucan Play That Game. So the next game we're going to look at here on the channel is Machi Koro. Now I know this has been out for quite a while and I'm a bit late doing the video on it. However, because I mentioned it in my first game night in review, I felt it was still important to cover it quite quickly on the channel here, despite other people already having done so. So this is actually going to be the first out of 3 videos, and in this one you can learn the rules on how to play the game, and then in the second video you'll be able to see me playing it, and in the third one you'll be able to see my thoughts and opinions in my review of the game, and of course that will include whether or not you can play that game. So Machi Koro is a 2 to 4 player game that plays in around 30 to 45 minutes. It was originally from Japan and the English version is published by IDW Games and Pandasaurus Games. But I hear you asking, what is the game actually about? So let's have a look at the box. So on the box here we see a couple of mountains, some corn, and a really weird city with a rocket next to a pink palace. So, of course, this game is about husky racing. Oh, wait. No, that was the last video. Oh no, wait, it says right here, this game is a fast-paced, city-building, dice-rolling card game. So why don't we take a look at the table and see exactly what that does mean. Okay, welcome to the table. It is currently set up for a 2-player game of Machi Koro. To set this game up, we have given each of the players 2 starting cards face up in front of them, a bakery and a wheat field. The starting cards can be identified in 2 ways. Firstly, they have a yellow back, and secondly, they have no construction costs listed on them. Additionally, each player also has 4 of the landmark cards in front of them with the grey side up. The unused landmark or starting cards are returned to the box as these are not required for the rest of the game. Next, once you've given the players their components, you will then lay out the market for the game, which is the establishment cards in the centre here. The way I have laid them out is in number order, the number on the top of the card that is. So we have starting at 1s for wheat fields, going all the way through up to 11 to 12 for a fruit and vegetable market. The final part of setup is to give each player 3 coins and then place the remaining coins along with the dice within easy reach of all players. Okay, with the game set up, we'll go on to the rules of how you actually play. And as always, I'm going to start with how you win the game, what you actually want to achieve in this game. And for Machi Koro, what you are trying to achieve is to be the first to build all 4 of your landmarks. As soon as you build all 4, that is then the game over. In order to achieve this, the players will be taking turns in clockwise order, and each turn has 3 phases to it. The first phase will be to roll the dice. So at the beginning of the game, they'll simply pick up 1d6 and roll it. Later on in the game, once they've built the train station, they can then choose to roll, before they roll any dice, 2 dice, as so. The second phase of a turn is the income phase. The way the income stage works is you check what the value of the dice were that were rolled in the first phase of the turn. If the 2 dice were rolled, you add up those dice to get the value. So if we look at the dice that are currently showing, we see a 1 pip and 4 pips. So we have a result of 5. What this means is that any players who have a card in front of them that states a 5 on it and that it pays on anyone's turn, or if it's the player's turn if it states that it plays on their turn, they would then collect income from the bank for each of their cards that has that number on. The easy way to be able to tell when your cards trigger is that all of the blue cards trigger on anyone's turn, so that's yours or any of the other players' turns. So in the example we're talking about, we have a 5. The only card with a 5 on it is the forest, and this would mean that each player would get 1 coin from the bank on anyone's turn when a 5 is rolled for each of the forests they have down in front of them. The other colours we have are green. Any of the green cards will only trigger on your turn. That is, if you're the active player who rolled the dice. So in the instance we're looking at here with a 5, no green cards would trigger. However, if it had been a 4, then the active player had a convenience store in front of them, they would then get 3 coins from the bank on their turn. Additionally, there are also red cards. Now, red cards are the meanest cards in the game, really, and the reason for this is you're taking money from the other players. So if on someone else's turn they roll the number of a red card you have, so for instance if it was player 2's turn and they rolled a 3 and player 1 had a cafe which triggers on a 3, player 1 would then get 1 coin from the person who rolled the dice, player 2. The purple major establishments get income from all other players, but only on your turn. So much like with red cards getting income from other players on their turn, except for in this case it's on your turn. Additionally, with the major establishments, so the purple establishments, you are only allowed 1 of each of them. So in the game there are 3, the stadium, the TV station and the business centre. You may have a stadium, a TV station and a business centre, but you are not allowed to have 2 stadiums, for example. When doing the income phase, it's important to note the order in which the different colour cards trigger. The reason for this is if you had a player roll the dice and the opposing player would be due income, but the current player has no income. So for example, player 1 has a cafe and player 2 has no money and rolls a 3. Now, because player 2 has a bakery, they will get money, but that money does not go to the player 1 despite them having a cafe because of the order in which the cards trigger. The reason for this is red cards will always trigger first. So a red card will only ever give you money if the player starts their turn with money before rolling the dice. The next cards to pay are the blue and green. Those activate simultaneously. And then finally the purple establishments, the major establishments, are the last to activate. Also, if you need to pay to multiple players at the same time, the payment is processed in reverse player order, so that is counterclockwise. The reason for this is you pay the person to your right first, and it may get to later players and you have no money to pay them, at which point they do not get the money, but the player to your right would. The final phase in a turn is the building phase. So at the end of your turn, once you have collected your income, you may choose to spend any of the coins you have in order to buy a new card from the market of available cards, and the cost of that card is denoted in the bottom left hand corner of the card. Alternatively, you can choose to build one of your landmarks. No matter whether or not you're building a landmark or one of the cards from the marketplace, you may only ever build 1 card at the end of each turn. When you build one of your landmarks, you'll turn it over so that the yellow side is facing up. And that then means that you gain the power denoted on that card. So with example of the train station, you would now be able to roll 1 or 2 dice. As already stated, if at that time you have actually managed to build all 4 of your landmarks, the game then ends. Thanks for watching Toucan Play That Game. Please do check out the rest of the videos in this series, as well as the rest of the videos on the channel, and of course subscribe to the channel. And as always, bye for now.